I am Mrs. Span, and I have a Bachelor of Art in Mathematics in 2006, and this is my 17th year of teachings. I taught Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Geometry, and Contest Math here at QVMS. It belongs to Fort Bend ISD District. My goal is when I'm teaching is I'm more student-centered, and I want to maximize student learning ability by just be able to communicate mathematical concept in a simple term so that everyone should be able to grab a strong concept of what geometry is like or any mathematical concepts. Before you can register for the class, you can always join in with the online section. And then when you go to the high school section, you should be able to view the outline for our geometry course. So basically, what is geometry? This is a 10th grade math. And it's a brand of mathematics that concern about 2 and 3 dimensional figure and the property. For this course, we're going to be focused on applying geometry concept and principle, how we're going to apply definition, postulate, and property into proof and writing and solving the missing value when we apply those mathematical concepts into a mathematical terms. Most important topic for geometry is lie with proof. We start out with the basic of geometry, and eventually we're going to build the student how to use those concept, definition, property, and theorem to be able to write your own proof toward the end of the unit. This is the listed for Geometry A. So if you take me for Algebra Geometry A during the fall semester, these are the topics we will be covering. We're going to start out with the foundation of geometry that is basically dealing with 2 and 3 dimensional figure in point, line, and plane. We're going to be focusing on angle relationship. Of that, we're also going to be focusing on distance and midpoint, basically anything that related to the foundation of geometry. Unit 2, we're starting out with when we call the most important unit of geometry is the basic of proof. We're going to be introducing you to what is inductive and deductive reasonings and how we can form conjecture based upon those reasoning. And then we're going to start out on logical and the reasoning piece by introducing you guys to conditional statement and other statement that involving conditional. We would then start to introduce you to postulate. That we use a lot of postulate. There are theorem involved as well, but we normally use postulate because this is something we can use without having to go in detail of proving what is it. So we just take it and use it. And then we're gonna start out with introducing you guys to algebraic proof. What do we use from Algebra 1, the basic concept, and then we bring it toward geometry and basically get you the basics started of what you already know and then make connection to geometry. We were then going to use the basic of unit 1, and then we're going to start writing proof starting with unit 2. We will then cover up into parallel and perpendicular lines. We're going to prove how do you know something is a parallel and perpendicular line in a 3 dimension, actually in a coordinate plane. We're going to be able to apply distance and midpoint formula here so that we can prove something that is, how do I know something is parallel? How do I know something that is perpendicular to the application of slope? We would then gonna go to the topic of triangle. There's a lot of unit involving triangle in geometry. We're gonna be focusing on classifying what type of angles. How do you know two triangles are congruent based on the limited information that's given to us? We would then prove how can I prove something is congruent based upon the information that's given to us. And as you can see, we start out with unit 2 with proof. We will also continue with proof on unit 3. Okay, we would then looking into relationship within triangle. If they're giving me a triangle, what relationship is formed within that triangle? We will introduce you into bisector, median, and altitude. Basically, where do you found this segment inside the triangle. And then we're going to look at geometry B. This is when you're going to be looking at similar triangles. So B, the A part, which is you take in the fall, you're going to talk about congruent. So when we go into the B, we're going to look at into similar triangle. We're going to focus on polygon and quadrilateral. The focus on geometry is going to be on trigonometry. This is the study of angle and how can we apply angles and the side to find all the missing sides, something that we're going to be using sine, cosine, and tangent here. And then we're going to give you a little brief about what are the special right triangles, so that if this exists, is there a shortcut involved so that we can solve for this. We will go into transformation. And this is a topic that you cover in Math 7, but we will continue with geometry. And then we're going to dig deeper into the transformation related to translation, reflection, rotation, and dilation. What happens if this transformation does not happen at the origin, but at a certain point? So that's what we're looking at into the geometry concept regarding transformation. We will then go into circles. And this is everything related to circle. We're going to be looking at arc length. We're looking at tangent, secant, or any equation that involves circles. And then we're going to wrap up the unit with volume and surface area and the ratio that in regard to volume and surface area. Okay, so this is our platform. So if you were to register for my class, you will find everything listed here in Canvas. So they will give you the link to Canva and you log in and so on. And then every time we meet, basically on Thursday from 6 to 8, you're going to go into module and it's going to organize by week. You should be able to see the handout for the week. If there are PowerPoint, is there cheat sheet involved, it's going to be listed under the week that is covered. And then we will have homework. This homework could be a quiz for you to do. It could be extra assignment regarding a topic. Like example, some topic I will have, now it takes me 2 days to cover it. Then one day you will have a homework that is assigned to the point where I stop. And then the next week when I finish up with the unit, you will then have a quiz. Okay. Of course, everything we did in class, there will be a recording video for you. So if you ever need to go back to the lesson, then you will be able to just go back to the link to the videos and just be able to watch the whole class. Or if you were absent for that day, then you can always go back to watch the recorded video. At the end of the unit, I will give you, like I said, the end of the unit, I can say is a quiz or it's a test for you. And again, if you be able to do it, so basically you're going to be able to show that you have mastered the concepts. Yes, there will also be at the end of the last meeting for each semester, whether it's the A semester or the B semester, there will be a final exam review. We do not give a final exam, but there will be just a final exam review for you so that you can use it to basically, hey, I remember everything we have learned so far in the semester. Should I go back and review any of the recorded material or anything that I missed any of the lessons? So basically, you can always go back and watch those videos. And I think this video will be available for about 3 months after the class ends. If you download it, then this will always be available for you whenever you need it. And yes, everything will be through Zoom link. So just like how you log in today, it will be the same thing when we start a class. You're going to just log in and then it will start. Okay. Do you have any question for me so far? Okay. So this is how our class is going to operate each day. Will the class open if just 1 or 2 students register? That is not up to me. This is up to Momentum. So so far we normally have a few students register. Every class, I think I will have about at least 6 or 7 students for every online classes that we have so far. So that question is up to Momentum Learning to decide whether to open up the class. Is there any other questions before I begin my demo teach? So we're starting out with the basic or foundation of geometry. So we can start out with something called the basic or foundation of geometry related to anything with point, line, and plane. So with geometry, we have 2 type of terms. So 2 type of terminology. This are the one we call undefined term. So basically, point, line, and plane. It is called the undefined term because this is something where there is not a definition that could exactly describing these 3, but rather we can only describe this. It means we describe of how it will look or how it cannot sketch it in the coordinate plane, but there is no like official definition that go with it. So of course, they would try to put into definition so that people can see. So example with a point. That definition for mathematics, because when you look into a point, it could be multiple definition. It could be just point in real life. But this one, we'll be looking at a point in the mathematical world. So basically, what is a point? It's a place in space. It has no actual size. So if they were to give you this definition, there's no way we can say, hey, what is this? So what they do is they're gonna show it to illustrations, so they're gonna sketch it. So how do they use it? That's how they use point in space. They use dot. So if we put a dot into just anywhere, then it will become a point. So this is like a point. We don't call point 1, point 2, or point 3. This one, they actually give you names. So what do we do? It's just like a person. Let's say this is Claire, this is Andy, and this is Sharon. So this dot have point, or basically this dot have names. So what do? We're gonna have to label them and give them names. So how do we name them? We don't name them by name, but we're gonna use a capital printed letter to name it. So in this case, I name it A, and B. So let's see if it works. When you name in a point, if it's a 2 different point, you cannot use the same letter to name the point. So what do you have to do? We have to name it using a different letter because this point is different from this point. So I have to rename it, become A, B, and C. So how do you name a point? We use a capital printed letter. So what is a line? Definition-wise, it says, this is a straight figure, it's extended forever, and it has no thickness or width. Again, if they're giving you something like that, it's hard to grab hold. What is it? So they're gonna give you a picture of how it looks. So this is an example of a line. They draw a line, and then they're gonna have arrowhead on both sides to let people know that this is the line. And according to the definition, again, we always hold on to definition. It says it extended infinitely in both direction. It's extended forever, and it have no thickness. So don't ask how thick is the line. There's no thickness involved. You just draw just a line, and then if you have arrowhead on both sides, that's basically a representation of a line. And it says right here, never name 2 points with the same letter. So let's put it in the picture for us. Okay, if I have point A, B, and C, and if I name from point A to point A, then it cannot be correct due to the fact that A to A basically is in the same position. So what do? How do you label it? We're gonna start out with script letter. Do you see the script letter right here? This is the lowercase italicized n. If you have this letter right here, it's not a capital and this does not have a point to it, then I can just call it line N. So when I say where is line N, this is the blue line, the dark blue line that is referring to. Now, what else can we do? We can also name a line using any 2 points in the line. So if you're looking at this line, even though it's going to give you A, B, and C, but by definition, it's a point have infinitely many points. It means there are so many points that right next to each other that when you basically see it at a line. So there are many points in here, it's infinitely many points. But we're gonna pick out this 3 point because it's visible to us. So what do? I can name this line by pick out any 2 points. So let's say I pick out point A, B. I pick out point B, C. I can do AC. I can do BA, CA, or CB. So any one of this combination of 2 of this point will work. But the one thing is, if you want to use number 2 to label it, then on top of that, you have to put an arrow, the line with the 2 arrow on top to let people know this is a line. So it is important that you use the correct symbolic symbol to name the line in this lesson and unit. For this unit, it's important that you use the correct symbol to let the people know what do you want, what do you imply to. So 2 ways to name it. If you use italicized N, then you call it line N. If you say line AB with a symbol of the line on top, then I'm referring to this line right here. And because line have infinitely many points and it extended forever, so really line AB is the same thing at line BC, it's the same thing at line AC, because you refer to the same line. No, we cannot use 3 points to name a line. So don't just say, hey, BBC is in the line. I can just use them all just to be safe. No, you do not need it. You only need 2 lines because 2 points, because it's both refer to the same line anyway. So all you need is just 2 points. So the next thing we're looking at is what is a plane? This is the last undefined term. So what is a plane? A plane, by definition, said is a flat surface and it extends forever in all directions. So any 2-dimensional figures that when you see it's flat, basically that is a plane. So example of a plane could be a desk, it could be a wall, or in anything that you can feel it's like it's in a flat surface. So most of the time when you're looking at this unit, people will normally just draw a plane as a 4-side shape. So basically, they will normally give you a quadrilateral and constricted all the point within that plane. So how do you sketch it? Normally, it's a 4-side shapes. You can use parallelogram to give you the illustration of how it looks. But sometimes it could be a triangle. Sometimes they will draw a pentagon. Again, it's all depends on what figure are they giving you. As long as you know that is a flat surface, it must be a plane. So how do you name a plane? It's in 2 ways. So the first image, do you see that M? Sometimes it's bold, sometimes it's italicized. But notice it does not have a point next to it. So this is not point M. So what do? You're going to call it plane M. So when I say, where is plane M? You know, it's this green plane that I'm referring to. You can also name it using 3 non-collinear points in a plane. So if you're looking at the blue plane, I have 3 points, A, B, and C. Before you know what is non-collinear point, you have to know what is collinear point. So what do? Collinear point is basically with geometry, mathematician or really when you took it in term of terminology, they would just describe it something as it is. So when you can break it down, collinear point. So linear is basically line. Co is basically when you look at in term of co-worker is same. So basically same line. So non-collinear line is basically point that is not in the same line. So if you're looking at A, B, C, those are not in the same line. It means I can use it to name a plane. So what do you call? I call it plane A, B, C. And when you use it, make sure you don't put a comma in between. So I can call this plane ABC. I can call it ACB or any combination of the three. But one thing is, how do you know this is a plane but not a point? If it's a plane, you do not have a comma in it. But if it's a point, if I'm asking what are the 3 points that located in this plane, then you would say A, comma, B, comma, C to let people know that this is a plane. And if you put a comma in it, then this is a point. Are we good? So this is the horizontal plane, which is the green one. This is the vertical plane. But again, it's not always horizontal or vertical. Sometimes it is slanted. And again, it might be from other shape as well. So it could be a triangle. It could be any other type of polygon that is involved as long as it is a flat surface. So those are 3 undefined terms for geometry. Everything else, once you got those 3 undefined terms understand, you should be able to use it to answer, to be able to define any other term. So segment, ray, angle, anything else, now you should be able to define it from there. So what is a segment? The most people will shorten it called segment, but sometimes you will hear that line segment. So what is a line segment? Again, we always start out with the definition and we hold the definition true. So what do we have? It's part of the line that include 2 points. It's called the end point and all the point in between them. So what do we have? How do we draw it in line? So of course, when it's a part of the line, it means it forms the line, right? And if you know that line extended forever, then a segment said it have end point. It means it have the beginning and the end. So let's say I go from point A to point B. So what do? You put a segment symbol on top of that. So now when people see this symbol, they know this is the symbol of a segment. And when they say segment AB, it means you only refer from A to B or from B to A. So when you name a segment, it have to have beginning and the end point. So every time you see that symbol, like I said, if you have a bar on top, it becomes segment AB. If you have a line symbol on top with the arrow on both sides, then that becomes line AB. So what happened if I use AB without symbols? So when you have AB without symbol, it means that the length of the segment or the distance between the point from A to B. So when you use it without symbol, I would like to know how long is AB instead. So like example, it's more of a numerical value. So when I say AB, then basically in my mind, I would translate it at what is the distance of AB? Then I would say the distance of AB, let's say this segment is 5, then the distance from A to B is 5. And you will get into more of this distance symbol in the later units. So what is the ray? Definition. It's a part of the line that's starting at one point. We call that endpoint. And it's extended forever in one direction. So here it says it's a starting point. Then why do we call here the endpoint? With geometry, anything that have end is called endpoint. So where the beginning or the end is still called endpoint. And it says it's extended forever in one direction. So let's just think it. How do we draw this in the in the plane? So this is a plane. So think about ray. The only thing that giving out ray that I can think of it right now, just think about the sun. The sun give out ray of light. So where is the end point? The end point is basically the sun, and the sun give light to us. So that's what C is, the sun, and is extended. Okay. So what do you see from there? How do you name a ray? Name a ray is still the same thing. You will need 2 points. So what do? I go from point C to point D. So with the ray, you're going to start naming at C, and then you head toward D. And that is the direction of the arrow say, starting from C, heading toward D. For this ray, as you can see, this ray, I'm starting at R. I'm heading toward A. Or I can start it from R, but I'm heading toward Y. Whether I'm going toward A or toward Y, it's still in the same direction. So I can call it ray RA or ray RY. On the first figure, I can name it CD. How come I cannot name it DC? So if you're thinking about DC, DC is telling you the starting point is at D and it go towards C. So if you're reading it that way, it means it go toward the opposite direction. So that's why we cannot call this ray right here DC, but we can only call it CD. For this one, remember, it's only take 2 points to name a line, a ray, a segment, or a distance. Therefore, we cannot name it ray RAY. So now what is the ray symbol? The ray symbol, because it's going to one direction only. So you will draw a line, a segment, and then we have a one direction arrow to let people know that this is the ray. So when I look at the image, when I saw this, I noticed right here, hey, this is referred to ray from R to A. Okay. So make sure you be careful with the symbols. So let's look at this figure right here. What is ray DC? Like I said before, if it's ray DC, then it means it's heading toward the other way. So the next thing we're looking at angle. And how can we name angle? So by definition is, what is the angle? An angle is, this is how an angle looks. We learned this from Math 7, right? When you have two rays connecting at the vertex, then the opening piece from the first ray to the second ray, those are basically the measure of the angle. So what did the definition says? An angle is formed by two rays with a common endpoint. It's called the vertex. The two rays are cutting sides of the angle. So this ray right here is side number 1 of the angle, and this ray right here is side number 2 of the angle. We can name the angle using 3 points. So we start out with using 3 points. It says right here, vertex must be in the middle letter. So this is the vertex. Two rays joining at the vertex. So B must be the vertex. So we can name it using 3 points. So I can name this angle ABC, or I can name this angle BCA. Now, the one thing is, because this is an angle, if I don't have this angle symbol right here, you see the angle symbol? If I would just leave ABC only, people would take or perceive it as a plane. So for us to know this is an angle, make sure you include the angle symbol. So for this angle, I can name it angle ABC, or I can name it angle CBA. Now we can name it using 1 point as well. So what do? What is this 1 point? This 1 point is only using the vertex letter. So as you can see, this one is pointed to vertex B. So now I can name it angle B. Now, there's an asterisk right here telling you that this is only happening when there's only one angle involved. So if you look at the figure, when I say, hey, angle B, there's only one angle right here. So there's nothing called, I'm confused. I don't know which one is it belong to. You know exactly that is referring to this. But if there are multiple angle here, so let's say if I have a ray coming out from here, then you know that there's other angle exists. Then in that case, we cannot use vertex B at the naming of the angle. Third part, you can name the angle using a number. So if there's a number in between the two rays, then we can call this is basically a name. This is not 2-degree angle, all right? This is telling you that this is number 2. This is referring to angle number 2. Okay, how do you tell? There's no degree symbol right next to it. So if there's no degree, it's more referred to the naming of the angles. Okay. So the one letter name is unacceptable when more than one angle have the same vertex point. In this case, use 3-letter name or the number if it's present. So example, if you have multiple angle in one area, and if you're unsure of what is it, the best way to name it is to using the 3 point, or if there's a number of angle in between, then this is when you call angle number 2. So it's easier for us to see. And when we asking for it, when I say, hey, where's angle number 2? You should be able to go in and pinch point. This is angle number 2 without looking at all the angle and saying it's maybe all the angle. So it's when you look at it, you know which one is it. So this is an example of it. If I would say, where is angle 2? We come in here, we know, hey, this is angle 2 right here. Where's angle 3? We know this is the angle 3 right here. If I ask you where is angle LKM, we know reference to angle 2. You see how that works? If I say, what is angle MKP? We know it's angle number 3. But let's look at K. K is right here. When I say angle K, do you know which one it's referring to? Is it angle 2? Is it angle 3? Or is it the sum of angle 2 and 3? So this is when we cannot use the one letter to name the angle. All right. So, and again, if I were to name those angles, it could be any one of those variations. So do not make this mistake. Remember, this is not the angle measure. So don't just say angle 2 and angle 3. If I add them up, it must be angle number 5. No, this is the naming of the 2 angle. This is like Claire and Andrew. Okay, we don't put them together at, hey, put them together is equal to 5. No, this is the location, a place. So as you can see, that is how we start our unit with lesson 1 of our geometry part A. Basically, it's just about vocab, the notation, the symbolic symbols, and so on. So we can always start out with our lesson with a PowerPoint if there are PowerPoint that involved with the units. But there are times where we're gonna just go into taking notes. And the one person note that I'm using in class, let me show it to you. So when you go into our class each day, if there are handouts, you will see in Canva, there are handouts for you to print. So we will start our day with either the PowerPoint or the note-taking piece. So with day one, as you can see, we have the PowerPoint, and I have the terminology that is given to us for the geometry basic that involve geometry. So you can see what is the point. You're gonna take definition. What is the definition of point? And then you'll be able to give me an example or visual of what the point look like. And this is the note-taking piece. Okay. So now, because of the nature of our class, I cannot make you use in the class time to do this definition. Normally, I will give it to you. So if there are definition involved, I will have a place where you can just be able to print out this definition, have early access to it, so that you can be able to go in, be able to read over the note and have a basic understanding before we start our lesson. So sometime, let's say if our class is on Thursday, I would normally publish the notes either on Wednesday or early Thursday, so that you have a chance to go over the definition, the postulate, the theorem before we start our class. Okay. And then what do? We will start working on the examples from the note. So from what we go over so far, we're going to use it to fill in the blank note. And then what is the practice look like for us? Like example, naming point, plane, and line. How do we apply what we learn from the PowerPoint or from the geometry basic definition here? How can we apply this definition into our lessons or your assignment? So I can see this is how it looks. The questioning type, that for geometry A for unit 1. Okay. So we're going to go in, work through this. And again, it depends on your level of understanding. If you show me that you got it, we don't need to spend a lot of time, then I'll be able to spend to other topic in the lessons. Okay. And then when at the end of the day, whatever you see in the class or whatever topic that we go over in that class, I will publish the answer key, or basically all the question that we have done it in class, and anything that I may skip over, but I think you already, you show me that you understand it, but I still publish it for you just in case you want to go back and get more practice done, then you have an answer key for you. For homework and tests, it's the same thing. If I give you something, I will provide you with the answer key so that you have a chance to practice it whenever you want it to. Okay? So that is pretty much it. Again, if there are formula sheet, if there are cheat sheet involved that can help you, then I will also post it for you so that you can always have something to reference back to, so that you can use it to do your homework. And eventually, the more practice you have in class, then you'll be able to, master what, either you take the CBE or you can use it at the way to get ready when you actually take the geometry class whenever it's time for you to take it. And again, some of us will use it to take the CBE. It's basically credit by exam, so that you don't have to take geometry for the entire full year. So that's all I have for today. Is there any question for me? Okay. If there's no question, then again, if you have any questions, so if you have any questions, you can always call Momentum. This is the office hour, and they're gonna be from Monday to Friday. You can call them from 2 to 6, or you can call them from Saturday to Sunday from 12 to 4.